You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 156 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I'm with my sicko friend, Jeff Gargas.
Sicko.
You have been sick. You have been sick, and I told you to go to the doctor, and you wouldn't go, so now you're sicko.
It was just yesterday. I didn't feel good yesterday.
You don't understand.
Sinuses and stuff.
No, when you are sick, it throws off my entire day. You become a couch potato. You don't do your work. It's so challenging to be like your co-host. It really is. It's so hard.
I actually worked quite a bit yesterday still. I did take a little bit of time to relax because I was dealing with a lot of sinus stuff and everything. I was doing a lot of cleaning over the weekend, so I think I just flared some stuff up with my allergies and whatnot. But I'm better today. I still got a little bit of it lingering, but I'm good. I mean, I worked all day today. I'm sorry I don't work enough, Ray.
You're better today than you were yesterday, and you'll be better tomorrow than you were today?
Yeah, you could say that. That's exactly what I'm saying.
You know, it's funny. We talked a lot about self-care in this episode, so me picking on you for being sick is probably not the best strategy.
That's true, yeah. Or maybe it's more that I need to take better self-care. I mean, maybe I should have taken the whole day off. I should have probably should have taken the whole day off yesterday, and I took some time to relax and chill out. We didn't podcast yesterday, which is our normal podcast nights. That gave me some time to chill. Now we're podcasting tonight. So while I could be feeling better now, you're forcing me to do this instead.
I did not put this on the calendar, but we had two amazing guests tonight that we were recording with, so we definitely were not going to cancel.
That's true. So before we jump into tonight, I was wondering if we could highlight someone again. We've done this a few times. I'm really liking where we just kind of pick someone and highlight an educator. And so I want to let you pick the educator this time.
This is such an honor that you're letting me choose someone. Wait,
I'm handing you the sword, right?
Yeah, exactly. But when you say educator, I can pick any educator, right? Like classroom teacher, administrator, counselor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I want to talk about a blog I was reading earlier today from Brian Faulkner.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it. So tell me about Brian Faulkner.
Yes. Brian is a administrator in Illinois. He's a middle school principal.
Okay, so your people.
Oh, he's totally my people. And he's actually a principal of a few of my friends over at Caitlin Middle School. And Caitlin Giordano is actually one of his teachers.
Oh, okay, nice.
I know. Do you know Caitlin? I don't know.
I know Kate. I've heard of her. Yeah,
you heard of her? Okay. She's on the team anyway. So what I really love, because I really enjoy that we have kind of this massive variety of guest bloggers, but Brian Faulkner consistently, and when I say consistently, I mean consistently, talks about how as an administrator, his role is to support his teachers' self-care. And I think that's such a cool spin. Yeah. He's done a lot of blogs for us so far. I actually know, I guess this is a spoiler, I know of a few more coming out later in the next month or so, and they're still focused on this topic of how, as an administrator, can you support this awareness of mental illness, the ability to support a teacher through not feeling guilt of taking time for themselves. And I just thought that was such a great lens, because we can provide educators all the strategies to ensure that they are really trying to take care of themselves, but having people around you who support that is, I think, even better. So I'm a huge fan. Every time he has a blog out, I read it, and I just think he's doing great things for education.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and so he's blogging pretty frequently, like you said, with us. His most recent one just came out, Doing My Part to End the Mental Health Stigma. You can follow Brian on Twitter at Brian, that's BRIAN, Faulkner, which is FAULKNER 44. So Brian Faulkner 44. So make sure you connect with him. He's just a good guy to follow and be connected with. But yeah, I love like you said, like the lens that he shares these thoughts and these ideas through, I think are really important, coming from that administrator lens, to the teachers know that administrators are worried about them too. They care about you too. They want you to take care of yourself. So really cool. And that ties in really, really well with our episode This
episode. It does.
It worked really. It's almost as if you planned that.
You know what? I didn't, but I want credit for planning that for sure.
I'll give you all the credit. You got all the credit. So this episode we have Chanelle Neilson, and she is the host and the creator of the Moms Who Know podcast and the Read With You Presents podcast. She's also an author of a book called Parenting with Purpose. She also has a children's book, a series called McKay and Coco. She's a lifelong teacher. She has taught all kinds of stuff, including preschool. She also does yoga, church classes, fitness, you name it. She talks a lot about, and we dive into how she's just kind of one of these people that just does all the things and likes to do so much. But a huge focus that everything she does in her life is this self-care and this figuring out what matters and focusing on the things that matter. And a lot of that is yourself and being okay to take some time to yourself. And I love the crossover we talk about, and that she connects with moms and teachers and the caregiver and everything like that. And I think her podcast, both of them, are very, very valuable for educators and for moms, obviously. Yeah. But this is a really cool episode. I really just love her energy. She was so much fun to have on. Some really, really cool advice. I don't want to talk anymore. Ray, you want to give us any last minute things to think about?
No, I'm just a fan of her work, and I do have to say she has a really great podcasting voice. I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm. She is, yeah, natural.
Either
natural or she's worked really hard on it. I guess.
Either way, it's awesome. So enjoy the episode.
Awesome. So with that, let's get an episode 156 with Chanelle Neilson.
Hey everyone, we're going to get right back to the episode, but I wanted to make sure you had the details of what the team is continuously doing to support all of the educators that are striving to reach their students at a distance. Now, while we will continue to push out content like blogs, podcasts, free downloads, and online courses to support you, we wanted to do more. So you can meet our team live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in our private Facebook group at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern for a daily drop-in. During this time, we'll be providing PD for all educators and answering your questions to make sure you feel supported. We'll meet you over in our private Facebook group. You can request to join at teachbettergroup.com or simply by searching Teach Better Team on Facebook. We'll meet you there. Now, let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're here and we are chatting with Chanelle Neilson. And Chanelle, it's so awesome to have you on the podcast. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day and chat with us today. Really excited to kind of get to know you, dive in and hear a little more about your story. But before we get too deep in there, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm just excited to be here.
Oh, we're going to have so much fun. I already knew when I saw that you were on the list to record with, I was like, ooh, it's going to be awesome. So well, I want to make sure our listeners can get to know you too, because obviously I know a lot about you, but would you mind kind of sharing with us kind of that typical answer of describing all that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I am a mom of 5. I have 5 kids. Oldest is 16. The youngest is 3. I think that that's probably how I define myself the most, because that is where I spend so much time and energy is in mom life. I am also a podcaster. I podcast in 2 different places. My podcast for moms, which is really just a labor of love. And then I have my education podcast, which is something that I'm passionate about as well. I love to write. I love to be outside. I live in Southern California, and just anytime I can get outside in the sunshine, I'm all about it. And I also have a thing for chocolate. The darker, the better. My kids say I like to eat dirt flavored chocolate, but you know what? It's good. It's good for you, and it's good to me. I love it.
Geez. So 5 kids, 3 to 16. That is crazy. I have 2 kids, and I'm like, that's 3 too many. So 5 is incredible. So your energy level has got to be intense. So I want to dive right into the podcast. So there's 2 different podcasts, correct?
That's right.
There's Moms Who Know, and then there's Read With You Presents.
Yes.
So let's start with the Moms Who Know. Tell us, just give us sort of the 1,000-foot view. What's the Moms to Know podcast? You said that was sort of a labor of love. What's that all about?
So Moms Who Know is about simplifying motherhood. And the whole idea there is that moms can do less so that they can focus on what matters most. And that's something that I'm really passionate about because I see so many moms getting overwhelmed and getting really caught up in doing all the things that we think we have to do, the fancy birthday parties and having our kids in all these sports and doing all these things. And then we're missing some of the things that not only matter, to our relationship, but even that studies show that really matter, things like family dinner and connecting and building that strong relationship in marriage so that the kids have a stable home and all those most important things. And so my hope with the podcast is to really help moms to tune in to what matters and give them permission to let go of that other stuff that really doesn't, because we feel a lot of pressure to do it all.
Gotcha. Wow, that's an important topic and sort of challenge that you're tackling there. And a lot of that, what you're saying, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of that, I think a lot of teachers could just take that as well and flip it to sort of teacherhood and focusing on things that matter and not doing all the things that we think that we don't need to do, or we think we need to do that we don't necessarily. I think a similar lesson. But your other one, your Read With You Presents, that is education focused then, correct?
That's right. And that's really interesting you say that about that correlation between teachers and moms. That's something that's come up in my podcast quite a bit in my Read With You Presents is we do talk about self-care for teachers because both teachers and mothers are caregivers in a way. They are putting so much energy into young lives and into, really helping and nurturing in that nurturing role. And a lot of times when you get into that position, you start to forget about yourself. And so, on Read With You Presents, we do talk about that as well as all other aspects. I have so many fun guests in different aspects of education. It really runs the gamut with all different kinds of things, but that's been a lot of fun too, to really learn different things about education. I was a preschool teacher for 8 years and I was a substitute teacher in my school district. So I have some experience in the classroom, but learning from other educators and administrators and people who are developing curriculum and all those kind of things has really deepened my understanding of what education is. And so that's been really eye-opening and fun for me as well.
Very cool. So, all right, that was awesome. I appreciate you kind of diving into both of those. And I assume we can find all of those on your typical podcast platforms, correct?
That's right. Yes.
And we'll make sure to have all that linked in the show notes as well. So let's talk about, something we talk about on this podcast a lot is failure. And I always talk about how I've been very fortunate to fail a lot in my life because I've learned from each one of those failures. So can you tell us a story about a time that you've had a failure in your life? Kind of share with us what happened, how did you overcome it, and then what did you learn from that experience?
Okay, well, let's just, now that we know each other, can dive right into the embarrassing stuff. So we'll go there.
Love it.
Yeah, I was nominated in college as Woman of the Year. And I thought that was really great at the time, like really an ego boost. I felt so great about that, right? And then they said in years past, they had this whole process for how Woman of the Year was decided. But the year that I was nominated, they said, we don't have time for all those other things, writing essays and voting and those kind of things. There's one determining thing if you are Woman of the Year, and you have to be in a talent show. And I was like, oh my gosh, what on earth am I going to do in this talent show? And I racked my brain to try to come up with a talent. And I didn't come up with one. But what I decided to do, have you guys seen the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Yeah.
Jeff, you haven't? You're missing out.
No,
okay.
It sounds like fun.
You have to go watch it tonight. It's a must watch.
Yeah, this is a classic movie. Dick Van Dyke and it is Dick Van Dyke, or maybe it's not. Anyway, it's in the 60s. It's old. It's totally retro, right? It's this fun, funky movie, but there's this woman in it who pretends to be a doll in a music box. And so I thought, well, I was on drill team in high school. I'll pretend to be a doll in a music box. And I was on this rotating platform doing this dance. And to say it was a failure is just a massive understatement. I cringe even talking about it now. Like, it is so embarrassing to picture myself up there. It was bad. It was really bad. I did not win Woman of the Year with that performance. And it was really embarrassing for me, actually. But what I learned from that failure was this. Not all talents can be performed. And sometimes we limit ourselves and we put ourselves into this box. Like I'm only talented if I can perform it. I'm only successful if I make money. I'm only this, if it leads to this. When really the definition of talent is broader. The definition of success is broader. There's so much more than we sometimes give ourselves credit for. And so for me, I needed a little self-esteem boost after that. And it really gave me kind of a desire to search for my talents, to learn more about my talents, and to discover those hidden talents that I didn't necessarily know about or connect with before. And in finding those, it helped me to redevelop that self-esteem and to figure out I was Woman of the Year in my own mind, if nowhere else. So.
Oh, I love that moral. That was like gold. So cool.
Yeah, I love that, because so often I think we think we have to do X, Y, Z in order to consider to be talented or successful or whatever, or to be happy even.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's something back in my life, like, what is that for me? What are my talents? What's my happiness? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? I think that's really cool that you got there. So let's flip that now. Let's talk about a successful moment you had. This can be something big or something small, but tell us what happened. Why was it a success for you? And then what did you take away from that experience?
Okay, so one of the things that I talk about often that was really a defining successful moment for me was figuring out how to do self-care with 5 kids, and it actually started with 4 kids at kind of my low point. So I had 4 kids in 6 years. That means my oldest was 6, my youngest was a newborn, and all of my time, all of my attention was really kid focused, because when you have that many kids, it kind of has to be. And I shouldn't say that it has to be, because I learned that it doesn't have to be, but it felt like that. It felt just relentless and exhausting. And I started to feel really grumpy and tired and stressed all the time. And so at that point, I started a morning routine that became a non-negotiable for me. Every single morning now to this day, I take time by myself before my kids get up and I do something for me. And so what that usually looks like is yoga and some reading, some study, some journaling, some different things. But that has been such a success for me because it's allowed me to develop my talents. It's allowed me to grow into a person who, I feel like I'm still a person. When I named my podcast, I almost named it Moms Are People Too. And I think you could actually expand that to teachers are people too, because that same thing goes when you're working with little people, you're just the teacher, you're just the mom, right? And to recognize you have your own needs and you're going to go and take care of those things. So that was a big success for me. Another one has just been publishing my books. That was a long time dream of mine, was to write and to have books published that I can hold in my hand and have. My one book has been translated into Chinese. That is a dream come true. So that feels like a huge success as well.
Oh, it's a huge success. I mean, geez, tell us a little bit about what your books are about.
Yeah, so I have 4 children's chapter books, and those are about a little boy, based on a true story, about a boy who wanted a dog, and his parents said, "No way are you getting a dog ever." And then an invisible dog shows up at his house, and they have adventures. That part's not based on a true story, but the never getting a dog part is. So that's my children's book series, and then I have a parenting book, which actually started because I was podcasting in China, and I had a successful podcast over there, and it was a parenting podcast. They thought, wow, this lady has 4 kids. She must be a really good mom. And because they had just lifted the restriction in China from having 1 kid to be able to have more. And so they thought that was just amazing that I had so many. And so, my parenting podcast was successful, and then they asked me to write a book about parenting, and I wrote that. Parenting with Purpose was translated into Chinese, and then it was translated first into Chinese, and then has since been made available in English and can be found on Amazon. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. See, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Multiple of them. So with everything that you're doing, I mean, geez, I actually have followed your work for some time, and I actually pull your teacher blogs quite frequently to share with our network. But with all the things that you're doing, you know, what's really keeping you excited about education and all that you're involved in?
I just love learning. I love new projects. I love getting excited about stuff. I am revising my book, Parents Who Know, to go with my Moms Who Know brand. It was Parenting with Purpose. I'm writing a book with my husband called Couples Who Know. And I'm currently working on a virtual summit, which has been so amazing. I have speakers talking about sharing their stories, really, of finding their purpose in life. And that's something I feel like is so valuable as we're all kind of trying to do the thing, and really, like Jeff said, to find our purpose and to define what our purpose is, or what success is for us. As we really hone in on what our purpose is, then we're able to branch that out and then say, okay, I know what I'm here to do, so therefore this is what success means. So those are some of the projects that I'm working on, but I'm the kind of girl who I just love ideas. I always have to rein it in, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about simplify, because I want to do it all.
Absolutely. Oh, geez, I know how that is. Jeff also wants to do it all of the time. And he calls me, and sometimes I say yes so quickly, and we run so fast with new ideas. And sometimes I'm like, Jeff, that is too big. I can't handle it today. So do you have any dates on that virtual summit yet, or are you still figuring out those details?
Yeah, that will be out early summer of 2020. So exciting. We are looking so forward to that. I've been working with a team of interns, and just to see the excitement and to see the caliber of people that they are, reaching out to and who are sharing their stories is so awesome. The more, every time a new person comes in that's involved in this summit, it's just so exciting. And I'm sure just, really seeing your ideas come to fruition, whether that is with a class, a plan that you had for what you're going to do with your class that day, or with a book that you're holding in your hand, or with this kind of summit, with any of it, that process of going from idea to creation to actually having it happen is just so exciting.
It's so thrilling. I love that. So with everything that you're involved in, this virtual summit, your books, the blogging, the podcast, I mean, you name it, it seems like you're involved in it. What is typically your piece of advice that you might give an educator? Maybe they're new to the field, or they've been in the field for a while. What type of advice do they need to ensure that they are reaching all of their learners?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a few, but the first and foremost, is that as teachers, as anyone who is working with kids, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to get in that self-care. So what I like to emphasize with self-care, it's not prescriptive. It's not like a one size fits all. Like, oh, for self-care, you must take a hot bath every day. You must get your nails done, or something like that. And I think that's sometimes what we think of. But in all reality, self-care is pausing and checking in with yourself to say, okay, what do I need in this moment? What is my actual need? And sometimes it's going to be, you need to connect with a friend. You need social because you've been talking to second graders all day. Sometimes it's going to be, the need for something mentally stimulating, or a mental break where you're doing something like meditation. So taking that pause and understanding what you really need is a powerful thing for anyone who is in that nurturing role. And then another piece of advice that I would give is, when you're working with kids, listening is such an important part of leadership. Kids don't always have the words to tell you exactly what they need, but when you really listen between the lines kind of, and you connect with them, you're able to understand. I love the thought and the saying that children ask children who need love ask for it in the most unloving of ways. And it's something that I've reminded myself a lot, whether in preschool or with my own kids, when they're acting out, it usually just means they don't have the words to express all of their feelings and everything they need, but they need something. And so learning to listen to the words that aren't being said is a skill that I think we can all hone in on and work on, and just to recognize that kids need that connection, they need that love, and even when they're like acting so horrible and you just wish you could get a ruler and smack their hand like the old days or whatever, that it's really about they need you. They need that connection from you, as hard as that is. So those are some of my, probably the biggest things that I would say to new teachers, because there's so much on the technical side, right? There's so much to figure out, curriculum and doing all these things and administration and all those kinds of things. But really, the things that we sometimes forget are the other side, the softer side, the heart side of everything.
Boy, I don't know if you know, but our colleague Chad Ostrowski right now is like high-fiving you virtually, because he talks all the time about how everything that a student does is data. It's something that we can use, something we can listen to, something we can use to then get to know them better and to be better for them. And that's what you're talking about, this listening and reading between the lines and understanding that everything that they're doing is trying to tell us something, even if they're not saying it in the way that we maybe think it should be said. So
yes.
That goes for just humans in general, I think. A lot in general, I love that you say, like, one of the most important aspects of leadership is that listening. And that goes all the way up from, in regardless of what industry you're in, what kind of people you work with, or whether you teach or not. So I love that. That's great advice. So let's have a little bit of fun now. What we're going to do here is the next 6 questions. We're going to do these, and your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
I think so. All right. I'm ready. All
right. What is one piece of EdTech or tech that you cannot live without?
Okay. I am going to say my calendar, and that is both my online calendar and paper calendar.
You do both?
I do both.
I like it.
We could dive into that forever.
I'm already ruining your time because now I'm curious. Do they mirror each other, or are they separated for certain things?
Okay, well, I will take more than my 15 seconds on this one. So I have an online calendar because I do so much scheduling with other people, right? Because I have 2 podcasts. And so any scheduling with other people, I have my open availability where people can pop in and do a schedule. And then I have my paper planner that's for things that can be done anytime throughout the day. And it includes my to-do list. I have this wonderful planner. It's by Thriving in Motherhood. Love it. And it's context-based. So it's a calendar as well as a planner. It's got meal plans. It's got everything that I need. So that's my second brain. And then I have my online virtual scheduling with other people calendar.
Gotcha. Very cool. Okay, back to the 15 seconds. Ready?
Okay.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
I am reading Where There's Hope by Elizabeth Smart. So good. And The Kids Are in Bed by Rachel Birch, about spending time building relationships with other people outside of your kids.
Who's someone that we should follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
Okay, I love Ralphie Jacobs for all things parenting and kid related. She is at Simply on Purpose, and Chalene Johnson is just good for everything else, lifestyle, fitness, all of it.
What's a good YouTube channel or website for educators?
Well, I'm going to have to go with readwithyou.org on that one.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Okay, definitely daily self-care. If you like yoga, it's yoga. If you don't like yoga, meditation, qigong, deep breathing, some form of meditative self-care.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece that comes up over and over for me is trust God. I often need the reminder.
She nailed it, Ray.
Completely. Oh man, I feel like I was following along. I'm like, okay, I love all of these pieces of advice, and I love this self-care because we really do need that reminder to take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So important. So before we end our session, I really want to make sure our listeners can connect with you and the blog and the podcast and the books, everything. I feel like we could talk forever on these topics. would you mind kind of sharing how people can stay connected?
Yes, definitely. So on social, I am most active on Instagram at Moms Who Know Podcast or at Read With You One. One is my education, one is my mom, side. You're welcome to join me for both. And then my websites are momswhoknowpodcast.com and readwithyou.org.
All right. And, you can find all the links and everything we talked about here in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those really important links for connecting with Channelle and keeping the conversation going. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and share this podcast with them. Channelle, this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your insight. Excited for people to check out both your podcasts, to dive into your books. Looking forward to hearing more about the summit and watching for that coming up as well, so we can share that stuff out. Just really, really appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been great to be here.
And until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.